Hey, this is Tommy Victor from Prong, and you're watching Stormbringer, the Austrian heavy zine.
Tommy, nice to have you back in Vienna again. How is it to be back?
Thanks, Mike. I didn't really get to walk around that much. We loaded in and then ready to go. So it's great to be back. I mean, I'm happy to be on tour again.
You got a new album out called Ruining Lives. I think it's probably the best album since Cleansing for me.
Oh wow! That's cool,
but you stated once that it was the fastest written and fastest recorded album ever. So, do you think the stars were aligned in a certain kind of way?
Absolutely, that's a good way of putting it. The art gods were in my favor or something. So it was through the grace of God, so to speak. So it was a very quick process, and I think that the sense of urgency to get it done helped me focus on that entirely. So I didn't have that much distractions, really, and that helped. And yeah, I mean, it is from the stars were aligned.
The last album before that, Carved into Stone, you said in an interview that you, in the recording process, there was a time for you where you would shoot everybody, including yourself.
Yeah,
Why was that? Why was that?
I was questioning the outcome, and
in a literal sense of style, of course, not that you run around shooting everybody. We know that.
No. There was a period of frustration where I didn't know where it was going, and that was partially my distrust of Steve Estes at that time. And then by the time we got to 3/4 through, I was like, well, this guy really knows what he's doing. And I established that faith with him. Therefore, working on Ruining Lives was easier because that faith was established. And we just had a working relationship. We knew what we were doing. And, that period of getting to know each other was gone.
So you used him another time for this album to produce
the vocals on Ruining Lives, and he mixed the record. So it was great to have him back doing that because he's so excellent with vocals. He has so many great techniques, and he really teaches me a lot of things and pushes me in the right direction. I wish other earlier producers had done that. Instead of having me go into a vocal booth and just bark and yell. Now I realize I have a better range and I can reach different notes, and I can harmonize, and I have several different voices, and that I could use them in certain spots rather than just going in and having no direction on where I'm going with the vocals.
Speaking of the vocals, it seems to me, did you train your voice for the new record because you have a higher pitch?
No, I didn't train at all. It's just from the knowledge of how to use it now better than I had in the past. And when you're straining, you're not singing. And even when you could scream and you don't have to strain your voice. So no one really taught me that. I figured, well, if I don't have a sore throat after the end of the night, then I'm doing something wrong. No, I'm doing something wrong if I'm strained, if I do. So that was something I learned, and after 20 years of doing it, no one told me these things. And I'm not like the one. I'm a poor student for myself. Like, I'll just go around and do whatever I want, and unless somebody tells me something, I don't go out seeking advice that much. So, which is not the greatest quality to have. So it's taken that long. The same thing applies to guitar playing, where it was on the job training. I was like, oh, I could do something like this. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm not one of these guys that goes and looks on YouTube and starts figuring things out.
So it's a process which evolved over the years. Yeah,
so he goes, oh, try something this way. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it's way I've gained more confidence over the years because, working with like a guy like Steve Estes, who works with a lot of like hot new bands. And he's like, what you do is fine. That's cool. Like, you got your own thing, and that's great. You don't have to compete with, my Bloody whoever, who was I thinking of? I don't know, some newer bands, so I just do what what I do.
Newer bands. You were an influence for many of the newer bands which came after you. Is this an honor for you that...
You know what? That question is posed a lot, Mike, and
I know,
and I never really have the correct answer for it. It's sometimes I try to keep away from pride, and every time my ego gets a little cushioned or petted, I turn into like some lunatic. So I'd rather not, because then if I have a disappointment in something, then I feel I go down. So I don't pay attention to that stuff. All I do is I work on my music and I play guitar, go out and do the show, and that's it. Like all this other stuff on the outside, really, words don't really take that much they don't really mean that much into me anymore, because in the years past with Prong, I mean, that was one of the reasons Prong had so many problems in the beginning, is because we're always looking at the charts and this band's doing better than us, and comparing our careers to other people, and that's not, you can't do that. That's my big advice to young bands. It's like, do what you want, do what you do, and be happy what you're doing, and then if people don't like it, they don't like it. That doesn't mean you're not doing the right thing.
So it's part of your program to keep down to earth.
Yeah, I try to. It's hard. I mean, it's like, that's a difficult thing. I mean, it's not an easy. But it's back to the fact of bands claiming as influences. It doesn't really mean anything to me. It's like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
You work with Danzig, besides Prong,
right,
and with Ministry from time to time. Is this some kind of recreation for you to work in another band where you don't have so much to do, just to stand there and play guitar?
Well, with Ministry was different because I had a lot of participation in the creating of the records too. With Rio Grande Blood, Last Sucker, and I played on the Relapse record, and I was on the Co-Conspirators record. So I had 4 releases that I worked on, and especially Rio Grande Blood, I spent a lot of time on that record. So it wasn't just I had passion towards the project. With Danzig is more of a hired guitar player gun. Glenn writes all the songs. So but with that comes other difficulties too. I rather do Prong. I rather do this, and I rather write song, be part of writing the songs and singing and playing. At this point, my vocals and the lyrics are almost at the same importance level as the riffs and the actual arrangements and producing too.
But is it that you can focus more on Prong, and when you come back from a tour with Danzig, for example? It's
a difficult scenario because in the creation of Ruining Lives, initially I was supposed to be starting in October, and then Glenn decided at the last minute he wanted to tour again. So during that period of October, knowing that I had a deadline for the Prong album, I had my iPad with GarageBand, and I would come up with riffs, and then in a hotel room I'd be writing lyrics, and then when I got home, I'd have to put it all together and start writing on songs, and then start tracking the stuff. So it was a crazy process. So with enough energy and commitment to it, I can get it done. That's why it was good to have that deadline, because if it was based on what I really wanted to do, and I would have loved, after a Danzig tour, I'd love to take a month off and do absolutely nothing, because it's traveling and everything. So this put me out, and I had to do a lot, even more work. So meeting those challenges, that's pretty much the cool thing about life, about playing in a band, is when you are challenged and you could get it done, then you have some sense of accomplishment.
You've seen many musicians come and go in the band over the years. You're the only one left from the original lineup. Wasn't it tiring over the years to let people go again and bring in new people and starting to work with new people and things like that? Or is it just the thing that brought Prong where it is now?
That's a fantastic outlook and question. I mean, I don't think anybody's really posed it to me that way. That's really insightful. I think it's both. I mean, there were certain things that happened with Prong that probably wouldn't have happened with the original, with Mike Kirkland playing bass when we got Raven in, and you know, like I started doing, you know, all the vocals. I don't think, you know, the Cleansing record would have been created. So you know, I think everything. I mean, it sounds as corny as it does, and you know, you hear people say it a lot, but you know, everything has its purpose, and everybody's lives, you're sort of exactly where you are for a reason. So, like where I'm at right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And because anything I've done has caused me to be here right now. So, and there was all reasons for that. So, it is tiring, and it's not out of anything that I can't, it is out of my control. Like, you know, the only thing I can control is me being able to keep it going if I want to. So, you know, guys that have, you know, family commitments, like, you know, Troy Gregory, and then, like, you know, Alexi, you know, these guys that eventually they have a child, and, you know, they can't leave, they can't go on tour and make any more sacrifices, and then the financial burdens these days definitely contribute to a lot of changes. So, I've always been a cheapskate. Like, you know, if somebody gave me $30 and go, Tommy, you got to live on $30 for this month, I could do it. I'm just that kind of person. Like, I'll go, okay, I'll go to a cheap store and I'll buy a big thing of rice and beans, and that's what I'll live on for a month. You know what I mean? Like, other people can't do that. I've always been able to, you know, I'll sleep on a couch for a month. You know, I'm that kind of person. So that's, you know, why it's been going. A lot of reasons why it's been going a long time, because it's certainly not because of the money.
One of the reasons you are here right now.
Yeah, I know. It's but that's just, I don't know whether that's like something from a past life, or it's just you know, has a lot to do with some kind of spirituality or something. But that's just the way it is.
How much New York is in Prong? Because I don't think Prong will function when you were from San Francisco.
No, I don't think so neither. No, it does. I mean, it's still ingrained. Like just it's I'm wired differently. Everyone's wired differently, but I think that, like, some of the experiences in the life that I had to grow up with in New York, and I, you know, living in California now, I look back on it and I tell people, like, you know, what I've had to experience, and like growing up, and people, it seems like another time. It's like medieval times or something. Like yeah. Just this crazy stuff that doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah, it was dark. I mean, you know, now New York is like a playground for the rich. But like when I lived on the Lower East Side, it was desolate, and there was a lot of drugs and crime and dirt and rats, and you know, I still feel that inside. Like, I know that street struggle that is part of me, and you know, I'd like to exercise it, like in a religious say, you know, I like to expone these demons somehow, but I mean, that comes through the music, really. It's in there somewhere, you know.
Your cure was the music, and
yeah,
that is what goes into Prong.
Yeah, you see different things, like, you know, like you growing up, you brought up in this ignorance of negativity a lot in New York, I think. You know, it's just a whole different attitude. But I think life is a grand place, and you know, there's so much more, you know, that when you grow up there or live there or something, you're sort of confined to these false beliefs of things. So it's, I think the struggle against that is what, you know, makes good art.
I believe so as well. But you met Mike Kirkland in the CBGB club, which closed down in 2006. So with the closing of this club, was there a bit of your past breaking away? Because
as I look back, yeah, but I mean, I really disenfranchised myself from the place, and like I said, like, there's a whole other world out there, and like to confine myself to like the Lower East Side of Manhattan is just not a healthy thing to do. And like CB's was part of that a little bit, you know. I just think there's something else out there that, you know, that I don't need to be, you know, restricted to that. So it's not anything like I completely am attached to.
Last question, could you describe the other two guys with just 3 words each?
Art Cruz, he's an amazing, sweet guy. Jason is a spiritually advanced guy.
Okay. And if it comes up to you, how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
I am.
It's up to other people, maybe.
I don't know.
That.
Maybe I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much. It keeps changing.
What's the date?
April 11th. I'm a survivor.
Okay. That brings in a lot in one word.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks very
Mike.
much,
Appreciate
Tommy.
it.